Dear Tyrants, you're losing. I'm sorry, but you are. Freedom is winning. What are you losing? Well, without mincing words, you're losing your desperate attempt to coerce people into surrendering their freedom so you can have control. Your methods of censorship and propaganda attempting to conceal objective truth while fear-mongering about disease and climate so that you can control all who buy into your narrative should now be considered a failed effort. Now, I realize your role requires you to say something like, "We're not doing that." But unfortunately for you, myself, along with countless awakened freedom lovers, are not people who fall prey to your gaslighting. Therefore, we see and know what you're doing, and you're losing. Let me enlighten you a little further. Your past few years of mandates, lockdowns, Nuremberg Code violating rollouts, 24/7 media propaganda, and probably the many years of planning that went into it have failed. You've probably noticed that in the past month or so, seemingly right around the time of your beloved Pfizer's admission at the European Union that they never tested to see if it stops transmission, there's now a second wave of people waking up from your slumber of control. You had them for a couple of years, but now you've lost them. So suck it. And here's what you need to know, Tyrants. The new masses who have finally awakened to the reality of what you're doing, we in the freedom-loving community of humanity will not greet them with judgment and ridicule for having been fooled by you, but rather we are and will continue to greet them with open, welcoming arms and compassion for having been fooled by you. And we'll acknowledge that the only reason they had been fooled by you for a little while is because they're good people who temporarily fell prey to your use of weaponized morality. And for the few who still are asleep and will awaken in the days to come, we'll greet them with the same compassion and acceptance. Now, I suspect you'd rather us greet them with disdain and rejection in order to create division within the freedom-loving community, but we won't fall for that because we're not as dumb as you hope we are. We know that divided, freedom falls, but united, freedom stands, and you fall, which you are. Dear Tyrants, I want to talk directly to you about you for a moment. We know that some of you have nefarious intentions and are corrupted with evil to your core. So let it be on record that your nefarious intentions are acknowledged. You are criminals attempting to violate people physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. We will not comply in any way with your nefarious intentions because we are a free people who claim our birthright of being born into our God-given state of freedom. Period. And I also acknowledge that some of you Tyrants probably have earnest intentions that happen to come with nefarious outcomes. I fully acknowledge that. Though some of you are objectively evil, some of you are not. And if you're a tyrant who is not objectively evil, then what you are is a useful idiot. And that's not meant to be an insult. It's meant to be an accurate description of the role you're in. And if this is you, it means you yourself have been being used and deceived by the objectively evil tyrants into doing their bidding. And along with them being more evil than you, they're also more intelligent than you. Those are the two factors that have compelled you to be used by them, with or without your knowledge. And if and when you decide to get sober from your addiction to power, though your past actions will never be forgotten, you will be forgiven. Tyrants, let's play imagination. For just a moment, let's live in the world where you actually succeeded in having complete control over everybody. Then what? How then would you further fuel your never-ending fiending for control? Perhaps the only next step is for you to begin cannibalizing each other for the last crumbs of control. But then what? You see, the game you're trying to play doesn't have a route to victory. it can only result in losing. That's because you've been trying to fulfill yourself in a way that offers no inherent fulfillment. That's why enough is never enough when it comes to control, and that's why you have lost. But have you ever asked yourself why you're playing the game of trying to assert control? I know your narrative answer is, we're here to protect people and help the world with what we're doing. Aside from that being pure propaganda, manufactured with the raw materials of deception, no one ever asked for your help. Plus, I'm talking about the real answer to why you lust for control at the expense of people's sovereignty. Now, I suspect that you haven't ever genuinely thought about this question, so let me help you with the answer. My best guess is that deep down, you feel unlovable, and all you've ever wanted is to just be loved. But instead of going towards your heart where you carry this pain, you run from it by compensating with control. And if you haven't noticed the results of your efforts, having control doesn't fulfill your need for love, but rather it actually makes people love you less. And thus, the more you try, the more you lose while you're trying to make progress in this pit of quicksand you've created for yourself. So tyrants, here's my advice to you. Stop what you're doing. Accept that you've lost. Stop trying to control others and feel your feelings. And start moving towards your heart that you've been avoiding, even if it's painful. In fact, especially when it's painful. Do some deep inner child work and seek professional guidance with it. If you choose to do that, just know it's the only path you can take that will allow you to ever actually feel loved. And if you choose not to, while it's possible you may never go to prison for how you violated humanity as you've largely operated above the law, you will in fact continue to live in the internal hell you've created for yourself. That choice is yours. But regardless of how you choose to move forward from this point in time, I'll leave you with this. You have lost the game that you're playing. A critical mass of humanity has awakened, and for the minority that is still asleep, the more you talk, the more you wake them up. We know that to be human is to be free, and the freedom-loving community of humanity is infinitely more powerful than you. We've taken our power back, and the strength of the warrior spirit will continue to work and grow our efforts to protect and preserve our freedom. Because one of the great lessons you've taught us is to never take our freedom for granted ever again. Tyrants, from all of us in the freedom-loving community, we wish you as people well. We also wish that you'll eventually allow yourself to also be free. God bless. What's up, my freedom-loving friend? I want to let you know I'm bringing my live stand-up comedy show to the following fine American cities: Topeka, Wichita, Des Moines, Iowa, Salt Lake City, San Antonio, and Austin, Texas. You can hit up the website awakenwithjp.com for tickets and the full tour details. And until I see you in person, stay free. I want to thank Bond Charge for sponsoring this video, the makers of my favorite evidence-based blue light blocking glasses, and my favorite sunglasses, which are perfect if you're caring for baby goats. Now I'm gonna pretend it's nighttime, which means I take off my Bond Charge sunglasses and put on my Bond Charge blue light blocking glasses. Why do I do that? Because baby goats emit dangerous amounts of blue light. Actually, I don't think that's true. But what is true is the blue light that comes from your screens and indoor lighting at night can impact your sleep in a negative way, which means less energy the next day. And as your birthing person, I don't know why milk's not coming out of my fingers. And I don't know about you, but aside from being a good goat dad, one thing that's important to me is having great energy, which means I gotta get good sleep because I always wanna feel and function my best. But without protection from blue light, that's never gonna happen. So a vital part of my evening routine for the past couple of years is I just put on a pair of my favorite Bond Charge blue light blocking glasses at night so I can be protected from blue light. I now identify it as daytime again, so I'll put on my Bond Charge sunglasses again, so everything's good. If you want to up-level your health, energy, and how you feel and function in a quick and easy way, then just go to bondcharge.com/JP to get yourself a pair of blue light blocking glasses and sunglasses. I think you'll like what you see. And while you're there, use the discount code JP to get 15% off. Baby goats sold separately.